If you know anything about me, you know I love preseason rankings. I got no problem with them. With conditions, you have to be flexible on them. So I saw a headline earlier today, and I was really disappointed because a good close friend of the program, Scott Van Pelt, allegedly, according to the internet, had gone on this insane rant on his show about how preseason polls should be abolished. This is how it was presented to me. And I thought to myself, no way, man. No, not Scott Van Pelt. Surely I haven't lost him to the no fun crowd. So I did an investigation. And it turns out that as best our team can tell, Scott Van Pelt did not call for preseason polls to be abolished. Although he and Stanford Steve over on SV Pod did have some thoughts. So I want to present the results and the findings of our investigation for just a second, and then I've got some things to say, and I've got some other people to address right after this.
But I really feel like people are so interested to see what their team brings to the table because, you know, everybody's going crazy about the coaches poll and, you know, Clemson being ranked, and it's like, this is really a lot harder to prognosticate now of what teams are going to be because you don't know.
Well, look at last year as an example of where teams began the season in rankings. And it'll happen again because there'll be teams that you just presume are going to be good based on the pedigree of their past, some of the people that you know, looking at the portal acquisitions and thinking that should work. But you don't know. And then there'll be some teams. Look, we both liked Clemson this time last year.
And Penn State.
Both liked him. Why? Because they had continuity at the quarterback position. They had a bunch of guys that we knew, liked, and trusted. Clemson and Penn State, both. And the wheels fall off. So
early.
I don't know that. Let's just say this. No one knows anything and start from there. And it's not an affront to admit that.
Okay, if that's the policy of the SV Pod, no one knows anything and let's start from there, I'm fine with that. That doesn't mean we still can't have fun and predict. If we don't have predictions, what in the world did God even invent summer for? That's what we're here for this time of year. So as it turns out, Scott Van Pelt, to this point on August 11th, 2026, to my knowledge, has not called for the abolishment of preseason rankings. So, as the future commissioner of this sport, I want you to listen to me, and I want you to listen to me very clearly. Preseason rankings then, preseason rankings now, and dare I say preseason rankings forever, pal. Yeah, I love them, but I'm not married to them. Enter Adam Rittenberg. Again, immense respect for everyone that we're going to mention here. Adam Rittenberg writes for ESPN, see him all the time throughout the year. And he said, and I quote, "The nation's second most popular sport no longer needs these. And they can set damaging narratives while often looking really stupid by October." Adam, the issue is not the rankings. The issue is not even people looking stupid. The issue is looking stupid by marrying yourself to your rankings. So, for example, last year, most of us had Penn State top 10. Many of us had them top 5. Ditto with LSU. Ditto with Clemson. That's not the worst thing in the world, as long as the narrative gets erased by the reality of the games being played. That's the danger, okay? Looking stupid is not dangerous. And take it from me. You want to talk about looking stupid? Where was I, Jesse, the morning after the national championship game? Where was I? I was sitting here with a clown nose on. This, yes, it hurt my pride, but this is not damaging. You throw on the clown nose, you admit defeat, you congratulate Curt Cignetti, even though you went 0-5 picking against him. Some say 0-6, but that's disputed. And we move on. I ask this. Hey, quick time out here. Are you subscribed to the channel? It doesn't cost anything. It's free. Please do it. It helps us maintain the show at this level. That's it. That's all I got. Back to the clip. By the time the playoff rankings were coming out last year, what damaging narratives were still wafting over the rankings process? Like we had long since flushed Penn State out of there. We had long since flushed Clemson and LSU out of there. And Indiana, not that they started way, way low, but they had long since vaulted themselves up into a premium spot. So You could tell me they don't matter anymore. Well, matter is relative. They matter to me because they're fun to me. Hopefully they don't matter at all to the playoff rankings committee. Yeah, okay. But that's not the big crisis, okay? And I would encourage Adam Rittenberg and anyone else who writes about this sport for a living, focus on the big crisis. You know what the big crisis facing our beloved sport is? It is casuals weaponizing predictions from 6 months ago. It is people waiting until December and January to find out how the season plays out and then taking shots at those of us, the few, the proud, I don't know, because I can't copy the Army verbatim, that actually put our necks on the line in June and July and August and said some stuff. It happens too much, Jesse. I've dealt with it this very day. This very day. Someone came at me and said, "What an idiot. This guy knows nothing." And then when they need some ammo behind their argument, they say, "Look at his predictions from last year." And I'm like, Chad, could you show me your preseason predictions where you had Clemson and LSU and Penn State unranked? Could you show me your preseason Fernando Mendoza Heisman ticket from last year, Chad? No, you cannot. But you expect it from your enemies. Where you don't expect those shots to come from is the corner of the room where your friends reside, because that's when it really hurts. Enter Will Compton. Will Compton took it personal that I didn't have Anthony Calandria, who's the dude who's only in Lincoln because Kenny Minchie spurned them, as a top 10 preseason Big Ten quarterback. That was my crime. And because of that, he trafficked in the lowest form of insult possible, and he brought my preseason SEC quarterback rankings from last year to the forefront. Did I have Lagway ranked number 1 in the league? Yes, I did. I own it. Did I have Jackson Arnold number 7? Regrettably, yes. So I made some wrong predictions, huh? Well, I may have been one who did. But friends, I was not the only one who did. This brings me no joy. Roll it, Bradley.
Michigan, I got us taking down Michigan. To me, that's the game where it's like, who the are we going to be this year?
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
And I think in Lincoln, Nebraska beats Michigan. I like Iowa State here because you boys know I love wounded animals. They've only lost one home game since the start of last year. I love Iowa State in this spot, -2.5. I just think Texas has too much. I have no clue how Florida's going to win this game outside of a hope and a prayer. So I like Texas here. I like Texas covering as a favorite. What is it, 6.5 on the road in Florida. I think Oregon beats their ass. Again, this is another team traveling out to the West Coast. And I'm saying Oregon's going to whoop this Indiana this weekend. 7.5, I love this pick.
You'll notice his hair grew a little bit more every week there. I believe it's because he had to shave it early in the year because one of his predictions did not come true. Or in the words of Taylor Lewan, he was bald because of his beliefs. So I just don't think it's responsible for any of us to be taking shots at any other one of us, friend or foe, based on predictions in the most unpredictable era in college football. That's my stance on preseason rankings. And if anyone got caught in the crossfire there, I apologize.